So I'm continuing with my reading of these standard works. What I'm doing in this series here is I am reading the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in chronological order according to events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be jumping around a little bit as time moves on. Right now I'm still reading in Genesis. So, Genesis chapter 42. Jacob sends his sons to buy grain in Egypt. They bow before Joseph. He accuses them roughly, imprisons Simeon, and sends them back for Benjamin. Now, when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, Why do ye look one upon another? And he said, Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither, and buy for us from thence, that we may live and die not. So let us pause here for just one moment. First, let us talk about two things. First, corn is not what we here in America call corn. This is not corn on the cob. The term corn in the Bible refers to grain, generally referring to the most prominent grain of the area. So in Egypt, this was either wheat or barley. Those are the two most likely things that they're talking about. So the American corn, what we call corn today, did not exist outside of the American continents until after Columbus. So, in addition, the timing, let us consider this. Joseph was 17 when he was sold into Egypt. He was 30 when he became second to Pharaoh. So he was in either serving Potiphar or in prison for 13 years. We have now had 7 years of plenty. So he is now, that makes him 37. This is either in the first or second year of the famine. So he would be 38 or 39 years old, meaning it has been over 20 years since his brothers sold him into slavery. We should keep that in mind. This also means, if he's in his late 30s, that Reuben, the eldest, would be in his mid-40s, about 44. And the other brothers would all be between 38 and 44 years old. That's the age range of the oldest brothers. Benjamin, on the other hand, would be several years younger. He is likely only 30 at the oldest, maybe a little younger. In the Bible, we are not given specific ages for any of the brothers except Joseph and later on Levi. In the book of Jasher, we are given actual ages for all 12 of Jacob's sons, but that is the book of Jasher, not the Bible. So let us continue on here. Verse 3. And Joseph's 10 brothers went down to buy corn in Egypt, but Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, Lest peradventure mischief befall him. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine when it was in the land of Canaan. So a couple of things. So Benjamin was at least in his mid to late 20s, but he was still honoring the wish of his father. I find this to be a very interesting thing. Isaac was 40 years old when Abraham went and got Rebekah to be for his wife. Jacob was 85 or 86 or somewhere around there when Isaac sent him to go get a wife. These men, as long as their fathers were alive, these men did not consider themselves entirely independent. They still looked to their father for guidance and instruction. Once the father died, then, when Abraham died, Isaac became the patriarch of the family, and everybody looked to him. When Isaac died, Jacob became the patriarch, and everybody looked to him. But while the other was still alive, while the older was still alive, the younger looked to the older. And that is a family dynamic that doesn't really exist anymore in the modern day. It's actually frowned upon in the modern day. But we can see it so clearly in the Bible here, in the lives of these ancient patriarchs. This is how they lived. They were extended families. And anyways, let us continue on again. Verse 6. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan, to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not. Again, a little pause here. How did they not recognize him when he recognized them, considering that they were all within the same age? These guys are all within 6 years of each other. How is it that Joseph recognizes them, but they don't recognize Joseph? It's very simple, in that Joseph looked like an Egyptian now. He dressed in the style of the Egyptians. He probably had his hair cut, possibly his head shaven, because it was the style of the Egyptians. He also spoke Egyptian, and he spoke with them with a translator, which will be talked about later on, but we got to understand that he was not speaking to them in their native tongue. That's what he made himself strange to them. He did everything he could to make sure they didn't recognize him. But they hadn't changed. They still wore the same style. They still spoke the same language. That's how he could recognize them, but they didn't recognize him. And remember, they were in their, Reuben would have been 23 approximately when they sold him into slavery. The other ones would have been around between 18 and 20. Their general appearance would not have changed that much. Continuing on, verse 9. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies, to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said unto him, Nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come. We are all one man's sons. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies. And he said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said, Thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not. This is referencing Joseph. And Joseph said unto them, That is it that I spake unto you, saying, Ye are spies. Hereby ye shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh ye shall not go from forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you. Or else by the life of Pharaoh surely you are spies. And he put them all together into ward 3 days. So this is the initial plan of Joseph, or at least what he's telling him. He accuses them of being spies. They defend themselves, and he says, No, you're spies, but we'll give you a chance to prove yourself, to prove that what you're saying is true. And he arrests all 10 of them, throws them all in prison, and says, okay, pick one of you to go back and get your younger brother and bring him here, and that'll prove that you're not spies. Now, how exactly that was going to prove they're not spies is a bit questionable, because even if they brought somebody, there would be no proof that this was their brother. They could just pick somebody and bring him and say, hey, here he is. But remember that Joseph recognizes them. And if they brought Benjamin, Benjamin would have been between 8 and 10 years old probably when Joseph was sold into Egypt. And Benjamin was his full brother. So he's doing this because he wants to see Benjamin. And he would recognize Benjamin, and that's how he would know. But the plan seems a little questionable on its face. So he arrests them, throws them all in prison, and they sit in prison for 3 days. Verse 18. And Joseph said unto them the 3rd day, This do and live, for I fear God. If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn for the famine of your houses. But bring your youngest brother with me, unto me. So shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. Okay, so he changed the plan. Excuse me, got a little itch on the nose there. He changed the plan. Instead of sending one back, he's going to send 9 back and keep 1. Verse 21. And they said one to another, We are verily guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child? And ye would not hear? Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. And he turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simeon, and bound him before their eyes. Okay, we're going to end it here. Just a few more notes. So this is where we know that Joseph spoke through an interpreter. He gives them the plan. This is what you're going to do. One of you has to stay here in prison. The rest can go. But don't come back without your younger brother. Then they all start talking among themselves. Who's going to stay behind? But instead of that, I think that's what Joseph thought they would be talking about. Who's going to stay behind? But instead, they all kind of commiserate together and say, look, 20 years ago, we did a horrible thing, and karma's catching up to us. God is giving us this trouble because of what we did to Joseph. And Joseph hears this. And he's not quite yet ready to accept that they have fully repented, of course. But I think it gives him hope. And it says he wept. He left because he couldn't contain his emotions, even here. Now, given Joseph's attitude throughout the story, I doubt he was angry. I really don't think Joseph was angry. But he was testing his brothers, and this was the first sign that his brothers had repented, and it gave him hope. And that hope was so strong, was so emotional to him, that he couldn't contain it, and he left. But then he came in, and he chose Simeon. He ties him up, and he lets the rest of them go. And we will finish this chapter in the next video.